On this edition of NewsTeam Boulder on Veterans Day, November 11th, CU holds a ceremony. How much is your carbon footprint? And not everyone is able to go home for the holidays. All this and more coming up on NewsTeam Boulder. On this Veterans Day, we celebrate and honor all those who have served our country. Hello and welcome to NewsTeam Boulder. I'm Faye Callahan. CU Boulder is holding an event to honor those who have served this country. Georgia Worrell is there to tell us more.
When students and faculty think about the UMC on campus, they think about maybe the cafeteria or the bookstore. However, the UMC is also Colorado's official Veterans Memorial.
According to Josh Sloat, Veterans Day is best spent at the UMC.
I think Veterans Day is important. Looking back at the history, I think there's no better spot for that than the UMC, the state's memorial to Coloradans who have served.
This Veterans Day, active service members, citizens, and veterans alike gathered at the UMC to pay their respects for those who have served our country. The holiday celebrations feature guest speakers and performances from the ROTC, Color Guard, and CU Buffoons.
I think it's very important to be able to look back and see all the sacrifice and the service that military members have had over the years.
On this Veterans Day, the Biden administration announces new support for troops exposed to environmental hazards during deployments. Burn pits were a particular concern. They were used to get rid of waste, hazardous material, and chemical compounds at military sites throughout Iraq and Afghanistan. 86% of post 9/11 veterans who served in those areas say they were exposed. That's according to a 2020 survey by a nonprofit veterans group. The Department of Veterans Affairs previously said those exposed may be at greater risk for longer-term health conditions. And now, the Biden administration announcement brings a number of new support options to sick veterans, including a so-called presumption of exposure and expand disability benefits. As we celebrate our nation's veterans, we also celebrate the service dogs trained to help them recover from physical and emotional trauma. CNN's Stacey Cohen brings us the story of one special dog who launched a movement to help veterans and whose legacy lives on thanks to science.
To tell the story of these little guys, you have to start with this dog named Gabe.
It started for me about 26 years ago when I was gifted a golden retriever puppy by some good friends while I was working as a social worker.
Gabe was with Yount one day as he drove a deeply traumatized young boy away from a troubled home.
He stopped sobbing kind of abruptly, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and what I saw was this 4-month-old Golden with his head on this little boy's lap, and that's how I kind of discovered the healing power of dogs.
Inspired by Gabe, Yount founded Warrior Canine Connection, which has a unique approach. The group provides service dogs to veterans like Tim O'Boyle, who struggled with PTSD after serving in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I was very suicidal. I was suicidal for many years.
But WCC does more than just offer dogs to vets. They ask struggling veterans to help them train dogs for others injured in battle.
It was something I could grasp. Like, okay, I have to go see the dogs because they're for my battle buddy.
O'Boyle eventually got his own dog, Sandy. He says dogs don't ask how you're feeling, they just know what you need. Dogs like Cortez and Mikey, who, like all of the dogs here, are named after veterans. They will one day provide critical emotional and/or physical support for their person. It's part training, part instinct.
I go into a store one time and didn't realize it was too much for me, and she just took me out of the store.
It's what Yount's son Gabe, now long gone.
He always seemed to know what to do. He just had this wisdom about him.
Now, for the very first time, Yount decided to use Gabe's frozen sperm to try and make Gabe a father once again. On October 30th, Mama Devin, named for a sergeant killed in Afghanistan 10 years ago, gave birth to Gabe's 10 puppies on Warrior Canine Connection's 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, I think Gabe would be proud.
In these tiny 10 pups, Gabe's legacy lives on. When they're ready, they'll be trained to become therapy dogs themselves, helping another generation of veterans. In Boyd's, Maryland, I'm Stacy Cohan.
Coming up, a CU scientist gets a hefty grant. And later, not everyone is going home for the holiday season. The ocean is one of the main elements to life on this planet. An award from the National Science Foundation will help CU discover more about the marine ecosystems. Assistant Professor and Biogeochemist Julio Sepulveda is the recipient of the award that will aid his exploration of how microbial life adapts to intense environmental changes in the ocean, such as increasing levels of carbon dioxide. Ocean warming is creating major changes in marine life, but also humanity. Julio and his team will carry out experiments on the coast of Chile and Peru, which will give them an unpredicted look into the future of global warming. These experiments are in giant containers called mesocosm. These buoy-like structures actually go about 20 meters deep and are filled with 50,000 liters of surface water from the Pacific Ocean. It allows scientists to examine the natural environment under controlled conditions, so they're able to watch and respond to any climate changes. Buying a coat versus going to the grocery store, what leaves more of a carbon footprint? NewsTeam's Kaylee Elkin tells us what a carbon footprint is. We all leave a carbon footprint behind, some more than others. But if you want to reduce yours, I've put some pointers together on how you can make a change. One of the biggest drivers of climate change is us. At this year's Climate Summit, nearly 20 nations will announce a major deal to end coal, and over $10 billion will go towards green energy projects in poor countries. But there are still ways that you can make an impact and reduce your carbon footprint. Compost your food waste, choose organic local foods, wash your clothes in cold water, and with holiday travel coming up, try to avoid flying if possible. Help save this planet. Just when you thought winter was going to start, there's a beautiful week ahead. NewsTeam's Jessica McCauley gives us the weather coming up.
Welcome to NewsTeam Weather. I'm Jessica McCauley. Let's take a look at today's forecast. On this Veterans Day, residents in Boulder can expect a mostly sunny day with a high near 53 degrees and a low of 32 degrees. And with this low of 32 tonight, there can also be a chance of rain and snow between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Now, today's air quality index in Boulder is as good as green. With an air quality index of 10, we are right where we want to be, guys. Now, we're checking out the map of the Colorado temperatures for today. So we see that the Denver area just below Boulder right over here is going to have some warmer temperatures in the 60s, while just in the southwest of Boulder, we're going to see some colder, icier temperatures dropping as low as 18 degrees. Tomorrow, we're going to see a bit of less icy temperatures overall throughout the western half of the state, so right over here. There's going to be a lot less icier temperatures, but it's still going to be a little cold. While temperatures will still remain chilly, you're just going to want to keep that beanie and puffer on you if you venture out this weekend. Now on Saturday, temperatures are going to rise from the 20s and 40s that we've seen the last 2 days on Thursday and Friday, now spiking to the 50s and 60s. And right over here, and this is happening right over here in the southwest, but as we go over here towards the southeast, we can see that down here in Pueblo, temperatures will rise all the way up to the 70s in November. Now this Sunday, as we all know, what goes up must come down. Temperatures east of Boulder, so right over here, that were peaking in the 70s down here right by Pueblo, will now be dropping down to the 50s and 60s again. While this center portion of the map showing our mountainous regions right over here in the blue and light blue region, that includes aspen and gypsum, will remain with those icy temperatures. Now let's take a look at our national forecast map. We see some torrential rains coming down in our southeast region right over here. Above this, the northeast right over here and the first half of the Midwest will experience some additional precipitation. And then all the way over here across the country in the Pacific Northwest, we will see heavy precipitation and potential flash flooding. Now, in Boulder tomorrow, expect a sunny day with a high of 53 and a low of 40. Winds could gust as high as 17 miles per hour. Now, let's check out our Boulder 4-day forecast. So we already covered Friday. Now let's head into Saturday. Saturday will be partly sunny with a high of 62 and a low of 38, with increased winds gusting as high as 21 miles per hour. And then as we round off our weekend this Sunday, we will see a warmer, mostly sunny day with a high of 59, closing out the night with a partly cloudy low of 42. And lastly, as we begin next week, we're mostly expecting sunny skies with a high of 68 and a low of 44. Now back to you in the studio, Faye.
The holiday season is coming up and travel is starting to get busy, but not everyone is able to make it back home for the holidays. Stay tuned for more. Thanksgiving travel might look a lot like it did pre-pandemic. AAA says more than 53 million people are expected to travel for the holiday. That's a 13% increase from last year, and only 5% below the 2019 level. More than 4 million people are expected to fly, an 80% increase from last year, but mostly travels will likely be on the road. AAA predicts 48 million people are driving this Thanksgiving. Most students are preparing to travel for the upcoming break. However, for some, as they sit around campus, they are reminded that they will not be going home for break.
Most students are preparing to travel for the upcoming break. However, for some, as they sit around campus, they are reminded that they will not be going home for break.
So I'm not going home for Thanksgiving break because my home country is pretty far away. I'm from Norway, so the flight would be too long, and then Christmas break is just right around the corner, so I'll head home then instead.
Students are sad that they cannot make it home during the holidays. Moments like these are when they feel the most isolated and alone as an international student.
It is kind of hard watching everybody talk about their plans of going home for the holidays.
Instead of searching and booking flights home like many students here on campus, these international students are left here by themselves during a time where people come together to celebrate the holiday.
Many wish to see their families in person. However, due to different circumstances, they have to instead rely on technology to help bring them together.
Yeah, so a lot of our international students that come through our office, a lot of them have special visas and stuff for them to go to school at CU Boulder. So those require a lot of travel signatures and other documentation for them to be able to travel home during the year. So I think that's the main reason why a lot of students choose to stay over Thanksgiving break, other than living so far away.
The university's International Student Office helps students from all over the world gain access to the resources they need to get home. Unfortunately, since Thanksgiving break is so short, students like Kiara are unable to.
Okay, so the hardest experience for me not being able to go home right now is that I found out my grandma's dying from cancer, and I probably won't be able to see her before I return to Germany. I won't probably be able to see her at all.
The feeling of isolation is unfortunately the reality for these students who are miles and miles away from their loved ones. The hope is that they can grow from their holiday experience and that we all remember to not take advantage of the time we have with the people we love. I'm Kaylee Elkin, NewsTeam Boulder.
That's it for this edition of NewsTeam Boulder. Follow us on Twitter for the latest news. I'm Faye Callahan. Thanks for watching. See you next week.